Hello out there in YouTube world. It's Jason's The Very Terrible Podcast. It is, let's see, this will be the fourth attempt at the show, having some real learning curves when it comes to the microphone, the camera, the computer, the mixer, and all the other pieces in between. Plus, like when I started, the sun was up. Now the lighting is different. I spent the last hour going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I hope it matches up. We made an entire 15-minute episode and I just threw it in the trash because I didn't realize that the audio track was off. So this is the YouTube version. The audio version is going to be recorded. So this is kind of like behind the scenes footage. You're going to be able to sit there and see how it happens before, middle, during, and after. And once again, we don't really edit, so there won't be a lot of editing involved. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the show started. And this will be a Middle Manager Minute. And it should be nice and quick and easy if I could get the recordings right, which has not gone well so far. All right, let's give it a shot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Very Terrible Podcast time. I'm Jason, and I am in the middle of a YouTube video at the same time we're recording the episode. And I have cameras, and I have computers, and I have mixers, and I have microphones, and I have a cell phone, and I have a lot of things going on that aren't playing very nice right now. This is the fourth attempt at the show. It's like a 15-minute episode, and I've already screwed it up so many times. I am tired. It has been a long day of trying. The sun was up. The sun is now down, and we're still gonna give it a shot. So what we are working on today is an episode of the Middle Manager Minute. I had taken a phone call earlier from one of my coworkers, and we were just discussing one of the issues they were having. And something that we're going to discuss today is the advice that I gave, and it's going to be called the 24-hour rule. And a lot of times in your workplace environment or in life, this is something that I have designed, and it's probably someone's already thought of it, but I've used this only because I've made so many mistakes time and time again. And I realize that sometimes my emotions get in the way, my response to stimulus gets in the way, my ego gets in the way, and you start running your mouth, and that's not helpful to anybody, especially in the workplace, where you've got your personal standards that you've set up, you've got department, company rules, regulations, union contracts, you've got HR, all these different filters that you've got to go through to handle the problems that managers face from time to time. And the same thing, like I said, we use the word manager and manager, supervisor. If everybody with the, unless you're entry level and we just hired you last week, everyone's got people that they have to take care of, and everyone has someone that they answer to, and all of us really exist in the middle and in the fray. So that's where the middle manager came in, and that's where if you go back through the episodes of the history of the middle manager, you realize this is all I've done for years and years and years. So so we're talking today about the 24-hour rule, and this really comes up to a lot of times when you have an email comes in. The written word is usually where this all started. And with the written word, you have an email that comes in, directions, change of schedule, change of plans, something negative occurs, and the hot hand gets on the keyboard and starts angry typing, and they angry type. And then you hit send, and then you realize you can't unsend things. And that's when the things can get way worse. So what I've only by making so many mistakes over the years, and especially a lot of my interactions are mainly verbal, is that if I have a negative interaction happen, I use what I call the 24-hour rule. And it's just, you take a day, unless it's something that's completely time sensitive, you just take a day and you just don't. You would say, all right, we're going to address this at a later time. Validate the concerns of the people who brought you their problems, and take your time to construct a positive, efficient solution to their issues. And I say negative because, if we remember, really is when it comes to supervising and leadership and those things that we've been given the trust of our people on, is that if it's negative, it's ours. If it's positive, it belongs to them. Good work, good work. Good results. That's because of your people. Your people do good, you handle what's bad, they get the good news, you get the bad. That is the responsibility that we get and the privilege that we've been given. So so yeah, we talk about that. Like I said, you're going to get some negative stimulus of some sort, whether written or verbal or whatever it is. And there's a sweet spot, and you get to stop time to say, hey, listen, if I've been the one put in charge, I am the one who gets to decide when and how we handle this. That's the what I've executed as the 24-hour rule. So the manager really is the person that controls the tempo, the orchestra, the conductor of the orchestra, if you will, the person that says, yes, we're going to handle it now. No, we're not going to handle it now. Here's how we're going to handle it. These things can take all kinds of different forms. You could be in the middle of it. You could not be in the middle of it. You could have two, three, four different people all arguing amongst themselves, and it's going to be up to you to officiate, to restructure all this disagreement and this disturbance, and put everybody back into a positive manner and get everybody back on track. And that's why the manager position is so important, is that you are the filter for all the bad news that comes down. You are the one that puts them on a track to success, gives them the tools to be successful, and helps be the good example and shows them where to go. And this is where this 24-hour rule really can come into play, where a lot of times when something negative comes from in your direction, a lot of times the bad reactions that you have come from places of ego, of oh, I don't feel respected. They're not respecting my title or my color of my shirt or whatever the case might be. And at the end of the day, we all work together. We're all on the same team. We all have the same service that we give to our customers, to the public, to whoever it is that is essentially paying our salaries. And that's basically a lot of the times the negative or the poor reactions you can have comes from a sense of ego, of you're not listening to me. I'm the boss. Bang my hand on the countertop. You have to listen because I said so. You have to listen because I have a certain rank, a certain title. That's the pitfalls that you can fall into, that you don't want to fall into, to be an effective leader and to be an effective manager. So the 24-hour rule really comes into play, where you get to stop everything. Obviously, you address the people or person that brought you this situation, and you say, I'm sorry, I got lost track. I got looking at the bars on my screen, as you can see over here. But you have that moment to go ahead and stop and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and create a positive solution, a positive outcome for whatever the situation might be. I'll give you an example that I went through myself, where I had not necessarily an employee, but the spouse of an employee that didn't care for me very much. And what happens is that this was in a social scenario, right? So it wasn't at work, it was outside of work. One of the things I don't really do a whole lot of is I don't socialize outside of work with people I work with. And it's not because I don't like them. I like them very much. That's the reason why I don't do it. I don't normally socialize with people because there's like a separation of church and state. And, I've had people get offended. I get people with hurt feelings over the years. And I really just tell them, I said, it's not for my protection, it's for yours. And, it's for both of us. And is to say, like, there's a version of me that's at work that, is more clean cut, dry. Here's the rules, here's the regulations, on and on and on, and help my employees and my people be successful. And then there's outside of work, where I don't have to worry about the rules, the regulations, the labor contracts, the HR. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. And you just let my hair, because there is none, but I would let my proverbial hair down. And there's a very different version of myself that goes along with that. Some people like it, and this one person did not. So I had to go, and this topic came up after the social event was over, and obviously I had a few drinks. This person had a few drinks. There's a disagreement. Nobody, they didn't find my jokes funny, which is hard to believe, I know. But this next day comes around, and I'm like, okay, they wanted to address it. I said, all right, I'll get back to you tomorrow. And I took 24 hours, and I really thought about the situation at hand. Come to find out, after that same 24-hour period was over, the spouse of one of my fellow employees came to me with the same answer I was going to come with, was an apology of, hey, listen, I'm sorry for the way I acted. I'm sorry for, things that were said, the jokes, yada, yada, yada. That person also apologized too. We had that 24-hour cooling off period. cooler heads prevail. A positive outcome. Everybody's now great. And it's, we can go back to social events now. Nobody, it's a thing of the past. Without having that, you can sit there and go, no, I'm right, you're wrong, point fingers. And, that's more bad can come out of that than good. So what we find is that having those cool off periods really is something that you get to remove yourself from the scenario, almost as if you were to give advice to someone else that was in the same scenario. So having the having those 24-hour cool off periods are really nice. Something that else is really interesting too, in a scenario that comes down, say one person's right and one person is wrong, which normally is the case, it's easier to be wrong than it is to be right. When you exercise the 24-hour cool-off period, if you're the one that's wrong, you can remove yourself from any scenario and say, okay, I have made a mistake. I am wrong. I want to make this right. And then you find your way to make it right. You construct your words. You move forward, and it sounds amazing because you took your 24-hour, your 24-hour cool-off period. And but now if you're right, it's a little bit harder because you've got to sit there and construct almost a legal-based argument to say, okay, listen, this is the reason why I think I'm right. Boom, 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 boom. You can still bring that why I think I'm right argument to this other person or people, and they could turn around and go, no, we still think we're right, and you can have just, you might have we agree to disagree kind of a situation. But having that tool in your pocket and something that you go to more often than not, it shows good judgment. It shows that you care about getting the right answer versus just the easy answer sometimes, and to have humility and to admit when you're wrong, and to keep the concerns of your people at the forefront while keeping them safe is really your privilege in your job. So that was it. That's the Middle Manager Minute advice of the day, as far as just a tool that I've kept for myself, that I've only learned by making many, 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 many mistakes over the years. And it serves me well to this day. Another mistake that I had made is I forgot to play the commercial loop, which was something that, I was so happy that I made, then I forgot to do it. So we're going to go ahead and pay the bills, and we're going to go ahead and just do it right now. This episode of the Very Terrible Podcast is brought to you by South Florida Lift Stations. For all your lift station sales, service, and maintenance needs, call Josh at 239-707-3603. South Florida Lift Stations, the official sponsor of the Very Terrible Podcast. The Very Terrible Podcast can be found on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, YouTube, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the Very Terrible Podcast, you can message us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at jdvtpodcast@gmail.com. There we go. That's the part you got to make sure you do that. You got to make sure everybody gets recognized for all the help that we have to get this off the ground. Yeah. So I'm hopefully everybody has got some one more tool for the toolbox. And to all you middle managers out there, I wish you nothing but the very best. I am Jason. This has been the Middle Manager Minute on the Very Terrible Podcast. We'll see you next time. Okay, and that should be the audio part. I think. Oh my goodness. All right, YouTube, there you go. So now we go back to behind the scenes again. So I think the audio recording is done. All of the buttons are pushed in the wrong order, but we pushed them anyway. You got to see me take drinks in the middle because my mouth is so dry from all the mistakes I made today. Oh, God. Yeah, this is going to be great. So, all right. I've got a video. I don't know. Hopefully the audio track works. I've got audio track. That'll be going on. Also, it'll end up on the regular still screen on YouTube with the audio, and it goes off to all your podcast locations. Man, I hope this works. I'm tired. Thank you to South Florida Lift Stations for all the support. Thank you for all of you who are watching and listening. Love the feedback. Just keep shooting us feedback. jdvtpodcast at gmail.com. On December 29th, Dave is back for our 10-year anniversary special. I got some 10-year anniversary designs for logos I put together this morning. It's amazing. It's been 10 years. It's been nuts. All right, everybody. Well, I am Jason. It's been the Very Terrible Podcast, YouTube version with behind-the-scenes footage. All right, we're going to see if the audio track works. Best of luck.